Hi, it's Kevin. Welcome to Relationship Ready. Today, we're going to talk about long-term relationships. Whether you think that's 6 months in, 2 years in, 10 years in, or 50 years. When you're in a long-term relationship, it's a lot of work. And people ask people who've been married for many, many years, what's the secret? There's no secret. That's the secret. The secret is if you tolerate the other person, if you can accept them for who they are at different stages. So today, we're going to talk about the dangers of complacency and defining that. We're going to talk about how to get to know who you were, and we're going to talk about how to get to know who you are individually and as a couple. Because self-reflection is vital for all of our work, for being able to function in the world, for being able to develop skills, for being able to be a partner in communicating in your life. So, the more self-aware you are of what you like, what you don't like, where you're at in the stage of relationship, the better off you are. At the beginning, relationships are great. You're dating, you fall in love, there's lust, there's great sex, there's great intimacy, there's getting to know each other. And then there are points which you reach. 2 years in, 10 years in, 40 years in, where you're like, I don't know if this is the same person I was with when I started. Well, it is and it isn't. Because everybody grows and changes. But being able to identify ourselves, how we grow and change, being able to figure out together over the first couple of years, over the next couple of years, over the next 10 years, how do we give feedback to each other? You look great. I don't like how you're doing that. I appreciate when you support and back me up. I don't like the way that you interrupt. Those are things that become, at the beginning of relationships, they're endearing. They're part of how we fall in love. And at different stages of relationships, they become annoying and unbearable. The same things that were endearing. And if you can work through and tolerate those times when they're annoying and unbearable, they can become endearing again. But how? Well, that's through acceptance and empathy. Because the more we have empathy for ourselves and the more we can have empathy for our partners and our friends and our relationships, the more we can tolerate, accept, and appreciate, which are the aspects of endearing, and combat the dangers of complacency. Because what complacency is losing the self-awareness, not reflecting on who am I and who am I with, and just getting used to and taking for granted, this is the same person I was with yesterday, last week, 2 years ago, 10 years ago, 40 years ago. And complacency is dangerous. Because you could wake up one day and be like, how did I get here? Well, if you're aware how you got here along the way, it's a much smoother transition. The endearing always sits there in the back of your mind and the soul of your heart, even when it's unbearable. Because love and hate are the two sides of the coin. You can't have one without the other. So you're going to love someone and hate their behaviors more than anybody else. Because you will know them, they will push your buttons, and the more self-aware and the more aware you are with feedback of how to work together with them and accept their mistakes, their limitations, their places where they are not quite there yet, the blind spots, the less complacent you will be, because that's the work. So in order to maintain long-term relationships, the secret to long-term relationships is doing the work. And by work, I mean reflecting on yourself, reflecting on your partner, and reflecting on your relationship with open, accepting, and loving feedback. It's not criticizing unless it's constructive and that's what your partner wants or that's what you want. It's not dismissing, it's not downplaying, it's not hurting. It's supporting when people are ready for the support. Because that's what we all need, is honest and supportive feedback from ourselves and to others to build long-term relationships. Look back on some of your relationships that you've lost touch with. You grew differently, but there's still some aspect of that same person there. They've just grown different parts of themselves that have expanded into different areas of essentially who they were. And those are the parts to love, nurture, and support because they're grounded in who you were when they first met them. If you can see them and if you can support them. So what did we talk about today? Long-term relationships, the dangers of complacency, because complacency is losing that reflection. And the secret to long-term relationships is doing the work. The work on yourself, the work on each other, and the work together to make each other rise up, which builds more and more empathy. Because the more empathy you have, the longer your relationship can be. So, look for that empathy. Look for that understanding of why would they do that in the spot that they're in. And if you truly love each other, you'll find the empathy. And that will help you be even more relationship ready. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, comment, like, and support so that we can build together. I'm Kevin Markman. Thank you.